We are live right now.
Yeah, we are live.
Confirm? Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to our webinar on how to recognize building great software. I'm delighted to see you guys. And my name is Mateusz. I'm tech evangelist in Brainhub, and I will have the pleasure of hosting today's session. And today we'll be discussing many aspects of building software, focusing particularly on what great software actually means, symptoms of great software, and why business is very important, balancing software and delivery, and a little bit about perhaps mission of software delivery excellence. Now I would like to introduce our special guests, Dariusz Luber, our solutions architect, and Michał Kaleta, DevOps Engineer. Dariusz, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hello. Like you just mentioned, I'm a solution architect in the Brainhub. I'm in the industry. This year it's 20 years, so I have the opportunity to see how business evolves, how those approaches to delivering the software, how building the businesses evolve and changed. So yeah, I think today's discussion will be quite interesting.
Okay, thank you. And Michal, can you also share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hey all. So I'm quite new to the industry, not as many years as Dariush, but I've been working here with those guys, and I've been mainly focused on the operations side, so monitoring, etc. And I believe that my point of view and Dariush's point of view have some similarities, but it will definitely keep the discussion going.
Okay, thanks. And guys, I want this webinar to be interactive, and so anyone who would like to ask question can, of course, answer it in our chat, and we'll try to answer them during webinar, but if not, there is always a Q&A session at the end. And yeah, I think that we can go to the most important part of our webinar. So let's start with the very question, what great software actually means?
Okay, who should start? Maybe I will start. I think it depends who is asking, because I think we need to look at this from two perspectives, from the business and from the developer. Of course, developers love to have the perfect code and so on, but we need to mostly adjust this to the business goals and to business values. So I think the great software means that this is the software that brings the value, so even the money for the business, or helps to help to simplify some processes inside the company.
Yeah, so to bring value, you have to get the software somewhere. So I would say that one of the important parts about building a great software is the act of quick delivery of that software. So anytime you make a change, it should be delivered fast, and you should be able to see what it did. So doing technical things like continuous integration, continuous deployment, that's actually bringing more value to the business, because any change that you make is nearly instantly reflected in what that software brings at the moment. You do not have to wait for the change to take effect. So it's exactly as Dariush has said.
Yeah, I would add to this also that in those processes we should be ready for any problems. So we could roll back changes, bring it to the previous version. Because always something can happen. Also high availability of the software. So we should have some kind of proper infrastructure for that. And like also Michał mentioned, observability, check what is happening. I think, we are touching many topics, because also I think we could mention the security part. So we can protect from any attacks, DDoS, also from accesses of the data leakage. So yeah, I think it also depends on the industry, because we can have scenario where some industry is has a lot of regulations. So building also good software, it means to meet those regulations.
Yeah, and going back to the business perspective, basically to the return on investment, to money, it's a major point in that is both reliability and efficiency of our work. So if what we do, if our software is not reliable, it's not going to bring us value. The same goes for efficiency. If what we do is not efficient, be it by not having a good enough continuous integration pipeline, be it by our code is not efficient, the performance is not what we expected, it's also not bringing us the value we had expected it to bring. So those two things, from the client's perspective, or rather from the business perspective, are quite important in building great software that actually solves what you wanted it to solve, and not being software just for the sake of being software.
Yeah, exactly. You've already mentioned the most important part is its business side, and many people, when we talk about quality in software, things in a software layer, it's like, okay, it has to be clean, it has to have a great architecture and so on, and it's like, okay, but does it bring any business value? And that's the most important fact. And the next question, which you already partially answered, is what are the symptoms of a great software? How can we recognize that software is built in a very great and powerful way?
I don't know. Should I start? Maybe Michal, this time you will take this scene at the beginning.
Sure. Yeah, I can. So basically, I've mentioned I really like observability, monitoring, things like this. And one of the ways, I believe, where we can actually see if a software is great is by using observability and by measuring different things that allow us to see different things, basically. So stuff like DORA metrics, things like our lead time for changes, our mean time to recovery, things that actually do not show us how the software performs, but how the software performs in a business perspective. So do we make changes? Does the change actually brings us value, or does it not bring value? Is the software reliable? So going back to that, and stuff like this shows us from the business perspective if what we did was good.
Yeah, for those metrics, I would like to also add those ROI that we could discuss with the business, and check how things that we are delivering are connected with the ROI, how we can improve that. Maybe we can just save some time of the employees so they can do more job. So it will bring also the value, or maybe you can serve some functionalities to bigger audience. So I think also we can recognize this by discussing with the business to know their goals and set some milestones, some OKRs, so some key results that we can measure, and check if we are getting those, we are resolving those problems and bring that value. So setting some goals with the business that are also related with the valuation and so on.
Yeah, and that actually goes to the point of being able to discuss with the business side. So you got to discuss, you got to plan on what is going to bring you value. So you have to do some research and development. That means spending some time on researching things and actually seeing if what you thought was going to be good is good. And if it is, then yeah, go ahead and implement it. But before that, doing things blindsided is probably never a good idea.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And I think if we start working on some project that maybe it's in progress, we can quite easily, it would be great to be quite easily check what were the decision made in the previously by the team, by business. So I think we should have in the software history, the history of the log of the decisions. So like product decision record, so why we are doing this, why we are maybe omitting some functionalities. Maybe it's great for one person in the company, but it won't bring the value for the whole company in some period of time, so we can postpone it, this functionality. So this also should be recorded. Based on those, we can get the product, this is like PDR, so product decision requirements. So before implementing this, we should discuss with the business, what are those the requirements, how they are bringing the value, what they are solving. And based on this, we could make any decisions about the architecture, about the tools, and so on. Because many times we can get some requirements, but as a developers, we won't be aware about some regulations. So, for example, we can choose perfect tool from our perspective, maybe some open source tool that solves the problem. But there are regulations for the business that shows that we need to meet some ISO certification, some audits, and so on. So based on this, we can make decisions to, I don't know, use AWS, some tools, maybe do some vendors logs, but it will cost less than doing all the audits. So we can recognize if we are building good software, great software, if we are meeting business requirements and the industry requirements. But to get it there, we need to talk with the business, organize many types of workshops, like sometimes even storming, so we can have a big picture of the project, business, and based on this, we can make the decisions. So if we start working with new project that is in the progress, it will be great to see those decisions, so we can see how it works and know what are the requirements. And I saw a lot of the time that those requirements has changed. This is normal. Even like the goal of the business, or even like the audience, the clients of those business has changed because they saw different opportunities during that. So it need to be revalidated a lot of time. So great software need to be able to adjust to those changes, but not. After some discussions and analysis.
Yeah. So, Mateusz. Okay. Yeah. So that goes to the classic OODA loop, actually. So the observe, orient, make a decision, and then act. So as Dariush has said, before you actually do a product decision record, before you make a decision, you have to base that decision on something. So being able to observe what your clients, what your audience actually expects, what it wants to use your software for, is the first step before you can improve your software to the place where you can actually call it great. Because once you observe your clients, once you see what their needs are, then you can orient to you can see how you can solve that problem. Then you've got the decision-making part. And that's actually the product decision record. After you do that, you can act on it. So create an architecture decision record, start writing software, start writing code, then deploy it. And once you do it, you start from the first point, basically. So you watch what is happening. You see if what you did was great. If not, then you have to re-evaluate your decision. And that's never-ending loop.
Yeah, also from the maintaining perspective. Sorry, Mateusz, do you want to add something?
No, please go on.
Okay, so from the maintaining perspective, also about the great software, we need to, like Michal said, we need to observe and do some metrics. Because, for example, if we are building some internal app that serves, for example, some API to other clients, we could, using some authorization tokens, verify and observe which endpoints are used, which are not used. So maybe we don't need to maintain, we can remove some functionality. It's not necessary. So it will also can speed up our work because we don't need to take care about that part. So yeah, a lot of observability, some metrics tools can help us to bring the value and sometimes simplify the maintainability.
Yeah, and I believe that observability is the most missing part in many development teams. They forget about it, that decisions has to be made on something. It's like on data, on what actually client wants. And you already mentioned that communication with clients, it's extremely important. And my next question to you is
can I add one thing? Because
yeah,
I just came to my mind about one thing that many companies, many startups at the beginning, they forget about one important thing about UAT, testing with the users, verification, what they really need. Yeah, I met a lot of scenarios where clients said, I know them, I am one of the users, I will be also using this, so I know what their needs. But later, it's changed. So if we can, as soon as possible, do user test verification of those things, can bring the good value. So if we also in those logs, we see there were tests with users, then we can recognize, okay, they're building this properly because they are responding to user needs.
And you already answered my question. But I will ask it either way. Is exactly how to understand what we are going to achieve, how to understand the client's vision, and of course also take into consideration users. What are the best way to understand what is the direction that we should follow and create a software that delivers a specific business value? And you already answered that, but we can elaborate it a little bit more, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. I see how you are muted. So
no worries. Yeah, I just wanted to add to it that once again we go back to observability basically, and as Darek said, watching how many users have used your app and specific endpoints. So here we can even go ahead and say that implementing some analytics, even some simple things like Google Analytics or self-hosted stuff, whatever you do, if you're going to have that data, you can go ahead and act on it. So seeing what your users need and solving that particular need is going to always bring you value.
Yeah, I maybe go to a different way right now, because we are talking about the metrics and so on. But who is analyzing this? So it's important to have good team for that. Because we can set up as a DevOps, as developers, metrics and tools, but we are not to make decisions. So it's great to have business analytics, product managers that can prepare proper reports, verify the needs, and discuss with business. So to analyze this, we can set up a lot of metrics. But if they are not used by proper people who know how to look at those metrics and how to observe observe how app is used, then then those metrics will be useless. So having BAs, PMs, also the QAs to verify if is it working properly. Organizing the workshops with some small audience of the clients, making the A/B tests. So maybe we could just serve. This is something what I think most of the big industry is doing, like Google, Facebook. They are putting like to 1% of clients some new functionality. It may possibly broken, so they can adjust it, check if they will be using, what is their feedback, and so on. This is something like also like Microsoft do. So you can go to this beta version, beta testers, so you will get faster new functionality, but it can be not fully polished. So there are many other things behind only building the software. We need to make those decisions. And to make those decisions, we need to have people who know how to analyze those. That's why I love working with the BAs, because they are analyzing this. They are setting proper questions to the business to verify if this is really need for the business and for the goal. In the industry, we are mostly saying that it's great to have this self-organized team, but this can also be a little sometimes problem because they can the developers will look always how to polish the code, and this is also great, but we need to make some decisions. Sometimes do some sometimes cut the corners to deliver some functionality that will bring the value, bring the money to the business, but we will be building the tech debt, and we need to also build the record of this tech debt. Yeah, but I just make a digression about that. The question was mostly about how we can verify if we are meeting the user needs. So I think, like Michal said, metrics, but those metrics need to be analyzed by proper people.
You mentioned interesting thing. You said that developers will try to improve code, polish code, and so on. What is the best way to make sure that they will just bring value, that they will understand what clients really wants to achieve? How do you think? Because you already mentioned like business analytics are a great role in a development team, because they know everything about actually client's product and entire vision. It's like I have a question, I go to a business analyst. But do you see any ways of improving such awareness in a team?
I think this is the role of the BAs, because they are the proxy between the business and the developers. They will propagate the knowledge of the domain, how it works. Also, from my perspective, it's also to have some solution architect, because the solution architect will look on the whole scope, all the functionalities, and in the interdependencies between some parts of the system. Also, on dependencies between different apps, because maybe we are building only one app, but there are different clients, different data producers in the whole ecosystem. So as minimum, my opinion is to have this BA that is a proxy, and if he gets the requirements and he starts to understand what are the needs and how it should work from the business perspective, from the user perspective, then before he is building stories and proper tasks for the team, he is discussing this also with the team to present them those needs and get also the feedback before starting the implementation. So the team also will work with the BA to show some caveats, some limitations that maybe are the problem, that can maybe extend time for delivery the functionality. And they can maybe show that, okay, maybe we can do this partially right now, we can maybe split it to smaller parts, or maybe there are different options. So I think this great trio, or maybe even quartet. So dev, BA, business, and QA. That kind of meetings for a final version, or even for the internal for the initial meeting to see what is needed to deliver, will bring that value to all, because all will be understanding the business. Many times the developers and different, for example, like are focused on the task, how to deliver things. So if they will be not involved in this process, it will be hard to them to see some problems, some interdependencies that can happen. So yeah, there is sometimes, I heard many times in some podcasts and so on, and I think this is something that I really love. 5 hours of planning, 1 hour of planning can save you 5 hours of debugging. And this is so true, because we can start implementing, and this is something what sometimes people are saying, the agile is to build something, check it, and build again. Yeah, that's true. But first, let's do a little plan, because sometimes we don't need to build anything, because we can just use some already existing tools, or just it's not needed. It won't bring the value.
What I would add to that is the developer's experience. What the developers experience during development I think it can influence how your software will be reliable, or rather maintainable. Because if their workflow is not so great, if they have to go through multiple hoops to get their code checked out, to get a code review, or even run a pipeline on it or deploy that, then everything they build, they will never want to rebuild that. If it works, then they will basically deploy that. But once they see that every change they make is quickly reviewed, quickly checked, and can be quickly deployed, then that brings the value of being able to implement the software quickly in a good way that the developers themselves are proud of and are happy with. Because once they do that, I believe that software will be maintainable, because they know they will have to work on that, and they will not want to have that be not maintainable, or be a code smell or a tech debt, anything like that. They will not want that. And once they see they can do it quickly, they will do it. So the business has to also think about it. That's my thought, that sometimes the business sees the product as a ready thing. They don't see the way, or rather the road that the product has to take. And I believe that is also important to think about, and to be able to help on the road itself.
Yeah, I think this is very important what you, Michal, just said. There are a lot of things behind the scenes that the business doesn't see. Exactly. For example, proper CI/CDs, also executing with some tests in parallel to just make things, the CI process to finish earlier, not like 1 hour, to not take 1 hour. There are things like, I'm thinking currently about those tests, because writing the test in the code is important. I think the industry know that. But we know that it comes with some caveats, that the bigger project gets, the slower delivery will be, because we need to maintain those tests. And I think we need to inform business about that, why it's happening, what is the caveat about that. Maybe, yeah, there are scenarios that we had some businesses that said we don't need testing, but then can we this is product decision record. This is their decision. We inform about that and inform about possible regressions that can happen. Maybe at the beginning of the project where we need to really fast iterate and check some solutions, it's okay. But when we get to the final version that we know, okay, it will be lasting for some longer period, we need to set it kind of in the stone with the tests and be sure that we won't break it when we will be implementing other functionalities. So proper tests, proper structure of the tests, and automation of those it also is a sign of the building great software.
Yeah, and I think that you already mentioned a lot about a team structure, about communication, and there is this one comment that Emilia has written. Here, in her opinion, sometimes it would be easier to bring developers to meetings with client, and I do believe that it's something that we actually do. It's like there are many workshop methodologies that can help to bring us common understanding of what client's vision actually is. For example, we are usually performing in Brainhub discovery workshops at the beginning of project. There are many reasons why we are doing it. It's like we just want to know what we are going to achieve, what is the objective, what is the client vision. Sometimes even the client just discovers a little bit his product. It makes our team to understand what is the main objectives, what is the vision roadmap. You already also mentioned about roadmap. It's something very important to understand how we are going to achieve some specific targets. So yes, it's still about communication, how this team is communicating. And I believe that there are many methodologies that will help to achieve that. Common workshops are for sure. You can, for example, perform event storming session with client. Yeah. I believe it's a great way. It's like it's connecting business side and technical side, and everyone understands perfectly what we are going to achieve. We understand scenarios, workflows, and so on, how the system is divided. Then we can plan what is most important or most profitable, and then go ahead. Okay, and yeah.
Sorry, go. I forgot that you finished. Sorry.
I finished.
Okay, I just want to say that what you just mentioned in those discovery workshops and this event storming, I saw a lot of time that business. So, guys, we will be earning on this project from different sources that we thought, and this just changed a whole perspective, what we should build, and that kind of workshops I think are valuable for also business. Because it's reviewing their plan, their goals, and it also helps, like Emilia mentioned in this comment, also to build the domain knowledge about the business in developers, in BA for BAs also. So yeah, it's very important to have those meetings. Also, we have something like meetings for the refinements, where we can, when developers, BAs, QAs, and client takes part, and we discuss about the that functionality, how it works, what is the impact, and so on. So people know how to work on it.
Okay, guys, I will just jump into a bit different area, maybe not different, but I will just add more software context, and let's just dive into area, for example, where we have to deal with legacy. Let's say we have a very old system, and there is a client that wants to improve it. Let's say, simply speaking. How can we approach legacy systems? Because we already talk like a little bit like a new products, but most of projects are actually already existing. There are legacy projects that have many years, and their maintainability is usually quite low. How to make sure that, for example, we improve that product, that in matter of weeks, months, we will improve it, and we can just show clients that this product has a bigger quality.
The perfect answer for this, it depends. I think about different approaches because it depends really what is this legacy app. Because, for example, if we are switching from some APIs, we are rebuilding the backend with the APIs, we can create some proxy that it's step by step directing to new endpoints and so on. From other perspective is that we need to first discuss what is the is it tested, and if we know what is the main functionality, the core functionality that cannot be broken. So we should know that. Maybe we should apply some tests, maybe some just end-to-end tests that we have in the CI process before we will be releasing things to be sure that we didn't broke that. And we can first know how it works, check the documentation, and based on those tests, we can start rebuilding those things. It depends. It's hard to answer without knowing the business, because they can be different. For example, maybe they have legacy just, web application. So maybe we can use some microservices, but in some cases, it's not necessary. Sometimes we can just deliver some smaller parts and so on. I think also to deliver some improvements, first we need to be sure that we won't break things that are working. So maybe also from the DevOps perspective, we can set up proper flows. How maybe?
Yeah. So as Dariusz has said, at the beginning, basically the CI pipeline, I would say working on a legacy app should start by first knowing why it's legacy. So is it legacy because is the UI looking old, or is it actually performing not up to current industry standards? Because those two kinds of legacy are not equal. And if you just want to do a UI overhaul, then it's not going to break a lot of stuff because you can see what is wrong. And if you need to improve your performance, then that's going to be another story. Because first you have to know what is the current performance. You have to know what is being used. Where is the bottleneck? You have to know the whole system. So here, again, the business analyst, that's the person you have to go to. You have to ask him, what is your current business need? Do you need to make sure that certain endpoint is performing better? Or do you need to make sure that the UI is looking good for other people? And for the CI pipeline, here is the actual thing. So if you rebuild a legacy app that you're looking if you're rebuilding it because of performance issues, then I would say do some load testing first. So make sure you know what the current limits are, and make sure you do those load tests at least on a schedule to your systems, to the new system you're building. So you make sure that what you build is actually better and not worse. And to the point of not breaking things that are maybe not used as much, then as Dariusz has said, end-to-end testing on the fly. Once you push your code, it's gotta be end-to-end tested. Make sure that it behaves as expected and does not break anything.
Yeah, I think also as a legacy, we can sometimes think about the infrastructure because sometimes, delivering new versions of the application, it's hard. Maybe it's not blue-green deployment. Maybe they need to bring high availability, which they don't have. Maybe the legacy is just the version of the, Node, Java, or other .NET, and so on. So they need to just rise the versions of the tools because there are some, for example, security breaches. So yeah, there are a lot of things, but first thing we need to know what is the core functionality to not break it, and find also what is their biggest issue they currently have. Maybe it's just some little small part of the application. Maybe even the UI is not the best, but users are used to, and it's bringing the value still. But they need to fix one part, small part. So we need to know what is the issue, what it causes, and how they want to work with it. How they want to work this new functionality, rebuild functionality works. So I think first we need to discuss with business to know how we can. So, like Mateusz, you mentioned discovery workshops to know what really hurts them in this legacy software. Because sometimes I saw that some companies are rebuilding the software because they want to, because this is their internal tool, and they just want to, that maintainability will be better. They don't want to change any functionality, just to bring better maintainability. That's also great, but will it bring the value for them? I think this also needs to be discussed with the team, with the business.
Yeah, and you already mentioned one important thing is like we are talking about legacy, but still we are talking about business. It's like there is always a business context that we need to know. And I usually refer to the fact that legacy, in my opinion, is very contextual. It's like legacy is a place that we have to change and we struggle to do it. Mm-hmm. It's like we first need to know what we are going to change, and entire system can be unclean and maybe broken, but the most important thing is what we are going to do next, and then focus on it, make sure that parts that are working are not impacted, are tested, and so on, and then we can just focus on this place and try to bring some maintainability there and improve an area. And speaking about testing, I think it's a great area about automation. Actually, is automation simply speaking a quality, or how do you see it? Can bring quality. Actually.
Yeah. I will answer that. I will start with it can bring quality because people are flawed. Machines do exactly what you tell them to do, even if you think they do not. They always do what you program them to do. So automating as much as possible makes it so your whole process is less error prone, and it actually brings value, because once you automate your tests, once you automate your deployments, there is no way that it's going to fail from the operations perspective. Because if it's going to fail, it's going to fail because something went wrong in the software itself, and it did not get deployed. So the automation actually achieved exactly what we wanted it to achieve. Because once you have to do the deployment yourself, either by copying and pasting the files on the server, or by, I don't know, issuing some commands in the terminal, stuff like this is error prone. You're going to make one small typo and the whole system can go down. And because of this, automating is very important part, in my opinion, at least.
I would say there is no bug-free application, and there won't be. But when the bug is found, the first thing is to write the test to validate that bug, and then we can fix it. So if we automate this and we have this on the CI process, then if we have written properly those tests, we know that this bug shouldn't back. We shouldn't see it again. So yeah, automation of the test is very important. Of course, there are some scenarios that are hard to test automatically using automatizations because, for example, we need to test some production data. So still some manual testing will be there, some smoke tests before releases. That's also why the testing is not only about the automation, but also, yeah, it is, but it's automation of the process. So if even the test passes on the CI, we need to have first, like, I don't know, this is something what we really like to do, like prod clone environment with the new version, where we can do, and again, test with users, with the owners, that they validate, okay, it looks fine. Also, QAs are going to do some smoke tests that are that they know that it's very important for the business. Some flows, some specific things. Sometimes it's hard even to verify some UI elements. They can be different on different browsers and so on. So there are some smoke tests. Can be things that they need to manually verify. So we can automate the process, how it works, but in this process, there will be always some human interaction. And I think just relying on the automated tests, it's not the best idea. We should always verify a few things manually. But more things we can automate, then less work need to be done by human.
Yeah, actually, I just got an example in my mind that I've dealt with, I believe it was last week, regarding automation. It was a small thing because there was a team that manually wrote a changelog. That changelog was not so big. And that was maybe 3 to 4 lines a week. Not so much. Once you do a release, you write those 4 lines and that's it. But recently, there was a discussion that one of the changes was not included in changelog. That was basically a human error. They forgot. It's not a big issue in the end. But we've talked about this, and doing things like conventional commits and then conventional changelog from that commits, it's an automation that takes 5 seconds, maybe even not. It's very quick to do, and it allows you to generate the changelog automatically. So yeah, here is a great example of why automate as much as possible. Once you generate the changelog, you can delete from that. But if you do it from zero, if you do it from scratch, you have to remember everything you did. So I believe deleting things from the changelog is better than writing it from scratch.
Yeah, and regarding automation, there are, of course, also methodologies that help us a lot. For example, test-driven development. In the example that Dariusz mentioned about bug fixing, it's really important to, for example, write the test. This bug actually, and notice the desired situation, and just make sure that it won't happen again. So the test must be written, and expanding this idea to feature bringing is basically coming that we are just gathering requirements. What is the best way to make sure that these requirements will work in the future? Just write tests. So tests are extremely important. Automation itself is extremely important. Guys, one question: how can we make sure that everything is automated in our projects? How can we make sure that we have some standards and everything is done in a perfect way.
So
Audits.
Audits, yeah. Let's call them reviews. Maybe they don't sound that doesn't sound so bad. So yeah, we can basically meet with the team as a DevOps representative. Let's say I'm always willing to meet with the team, go over what they have, what they do, what are the current caveats, stuff like this pipeline is too slow, they don't like it, so the developer experience is worse. That translates basically to code quality, which then translates to business. So doing like scheduled reviews, maybe once a year, twice per year, depending on the team, we can make sure that what they have is up to current industry standards, and what I believe is the most important thing, up to current developer expectations. Because even if the industry standard is set in stone, or let's say industry says CI cannot take more than 10 minutes, but our developers say, hey, this pipeline takes 5 minutes and it's still too much, then matching the industry expectations does not match our developers' expectations. And I believe that the whole DevOps idea is to make sure our developers are happy. So here goes the reviews where we can see it, we can help them, we can tell them what could be improved, rather not what should, but what could be improved. So then we can help them. We can do some caching, do some magic behind the closed doors, or things like this. And yeah, that's a good way to make sure our teams are performing on the highest level.
Yeah, I would add again metrics. For example, the lead time delivery. What is for that? If we see that for some cases it's longer, then we can investigate what was the cause. Maybe, like Michal said, CI processes, maybe optimization of the tests on the CI, it's going too slow. Maybe there are some flaky tests that maybe are related with some external applications that we are testing connections. For example, we currently had some issues, for example, with the end-to-end testing with the Auth0 that was failing due to their problems. So we had to solve this, how make it work again with no issues. So having those metrics, discussion with the team can show us what can we automate, how we can bring better, like Michal said, developer experience. During all that meeting, I'm still I have still in back of my mind the one sentence that this is just biz DevOps. So transparency between all those areas, communication, collaboration. This will bring the great value for the business, for the application. Then we will be building proper application that solves business problems and maybe brings money to business.
Yeah, and we even have stuff like this that we can use to measure our lead time for changes, mean time to recovery, etc., where we can actually get all of this data from our version control software. So from, be it GitHub, be it Bitbucket, GitLab, whatever it is, we can get the data from it. If we do conventional commits, if we mark our commits with Jira stories, let's say, or maybe you use Notion, so you have some other type of making sure that a story is assigned to a particular branch or commit on the version control software, then you can gather all of this data, you can visualize it, and you can translate all of the things that happen behind the curtains to business side. So you can show the business that this day we've had 4 deployments. Our last failed deployment was a week ago, and our mean time to recovery, including that, was, let's say, 10 minutes. Things like this translate to business perspective using only the data that's already available, already there. We just have to gather it, make some changes to it probably, and visualize it. And that's going back again to monitoring, observability, and aggregation of the whole a lot of data that you have to get to visualize it.
Yeah. Also, those rituals that we have, like retrospectives, where we can ask team what's going well, what went wrong, how things can be optimized. We can look at those metrics and those values of horizontal lead time delivery on specific topics, discuss with the team what was the issue and just help them. So again, collaboration to solve those issues and speed up the work.
I mean, I wrote an important thing. It's like automation is great, but if it's done in a correct way. My question: have you seen work automation done wrong? What can be done badly, and what it's not worth doing?
Caching, it's important. If you do not cache your results in a pipeline, then you're gonna have a bad time, because if you have a big code base and you want to do static code analysis, whatever your language is, you want to do at least ESLint or any other solution that checks types if you're using JavaScript or TypeScript. So if you do TS, you want to check your types. You want to see if there is no issues in your code. So you want to use ESLint. And once your code base is big, the whole check is going to take, 5 minutes, let's say. And then you still have to build the app. You have to download all the dependencies. But let's say there is an error in one file. That's a typo. You push the change. That change does all of those steps again. Why? It doesn't have to. You can only check the affected things. Check only what has changed. Do not check everything all the time, because that's a waste of time, and that equals to waste of money for the business.
Yeah, I would say about the things that can be wrong automated, that can be quite irritating for the developers, is like all pre-push automatizations, like those type checks sometimes, or even running the test. For the small app, okay, maybe it's okay. But I think developers should be able to quickly push it, and it should be on the CI. I saw in some cases that it was done before, and it, like Michal said, it can take 5 minutes. So you are wasting your time. You could look on different things, and later when CI fails, you will get the notification. You can look at this again. So yeah. Also, even running those tests on your local machine can be quite resource hungry, using too much resource on your machine, so it can be slow. So if we could like adjust proper machines on CI, it can be even faster. So yeah.
Yeah, and solutions are sometimes very simple. For example, if you have a lot of end-to-end tests, it's completely not worth running them on each push to CI, and it's basically not worth it. But once a day at night, because it takes, let's say, a few hours, it's okay. We don't need to know immediately that something is not working. We just need to know. We need to know that is something not working, and once a day, it's fine. So sometimes it's all about configuration and can be easily fixed. And one thing that I would like to add to this point is, as we talked a lot about audits in Brainhub, actually one of the most important things in an organization is basically spread the knowledge and expertise, and if there are any new ideas or we solved some kind of big product problems, basically you can always spread between teams this knowledge and make sure that it won't happen on other projects as well. And this is very important on organizational level, and we just try to make standards that help us a lot in terms of new projects, of current projects, and so on. Which basically leads us to our mission, our Brainhub's mission. We just want to have the excellence in software delivery. This is basically what we do, and we just want to make sure, and it is via standards, via audits, making sure that standards are applied, and so on. And I think that
I would add something to this. Our mission, maybe how we would, how we want to approach to the projects. We don't want to be just people who are just closing the tasks. We want to be a part of the team that is building the project with the client. We want to be a part of this project whole and help with this and bring this project to life to be sustainable, bringing value for the client, and see that project many years later that it's still working and brings value.
As Michal wrote, it's important to find the golden mean, and it reminds me this one product triangle. I don't remember the name, correct name for this, let's say, methodology. It's like there is always cost, scope, and quality. As far as I remember, it's like you cannot have, or time, you cannot have everything. It's like you can choose max two things. And sometimes it's like we don't have enough time for something, and of course it impacts quality, but is well known with client, and we agree to deliver something faster, and that's fine. It's not like we have to make everything in a perfect way in terms of clean code, for example. Sometimes we need to find golden mean, and just make sure that what we deliver just brings value, and that's the most important thing at the end. Okay, it's 1 hour of webinar. I hope you enjoyed that a lot, and of course you can ask questions in our comments section if you want. This is the time for that. I think that we can start a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please write them. Yeah, and guys, I think that we can try to summarize a little bit our webinar, today's webinar. It's like, what is the most important that we can just grasp from everything we said already? It's like, can you summarize one more time what a great software actually means?
I would say again, biz DevOps, transparency, collaboration, and sharing the knowledge between whole project and bringing the value for the business with automation of the things, so we can fast iterate and verify if we build proper things. So add metrics, analyze those metrics, and make a good decisions based on those.
That was very business perspective, I would say. So let me go ahead and talk for the developers. That's the developer experience, I would say. If the developers are proud of what they built, if the solutions architect sees what he architected and sees and says, that's good, then I believe that's a great software. And if they do that, then that translates directly into what Darek has said just now. So that translates into value, because that software is going to run good, is going to be reliable, and it's going to solve issues that the clients had.
Yeah, I think that this observability is one of the most important things, because if we jump to decision model, any decision model, actually, we have to observe and then orient in data. So just to make sure that our decisions are correct, we need to they need to be based on something. And the second thing is just standards, just making standards and make sure that we are doing our stuff properly based on our experience, based on our situations on project, on previous projects, and so on, just to make sure that some things won't happen again. Because of course, like Dariush said, there are no bug-free applications. We are aware of it, and we just need to live with it. But the more we are aware of it, the more we automate, the more we understand client's vision, the more we have or implement any standards, the better. So basically, observability standards are, in my opinion, the most important things. Okay, there are no questions. I think that we can basically just jump to finish of our webinar. So thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at the future events. Thank you, guys, and see you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.